everyone, welcome to another episode of the Jonesin 4 Show, your show that helps you live your life to the max. And today, oh man, we have a special guest joining us to share some incredible insight with you. He has gone from a basketball, wanting to play D1 basketball, to running social media, going realtor, to music, and chasing his passions. But not only just chasing them, having success at chasing them and creating the life of his dreams, the life that he loves to live. And he's going to offer you some ideas, some strategies, and tips to help you do the same thing today. I'm super excited for it. Please help me welcome my friend Rhett King to our show. Rhett, thank you so much for being here.
I really appreciate you inviting me. This is really awesome.
So, of course, man, I love everything you're about. We were talking right before this and discovering even more how much we have in common, whether it's working out, yoga, just life, music in general. So very cool. Let's, I could share your story with people, but that's no fun. Let's hear it from you yourself. Tell us your story of how when you're growing up to where you are today. You're a successful entrepreneur with different businesses on social media and now music. Walk us through this journey, brother.
So yeah, basically, I grew up mainly with my mom. My dad was in the picture, but my mom was like kind of the main one that raised me. I'd see my dad, a couple times a week for, little sleepovers and whatnot. But mainly it was like my mom was the one that was just like always empowering me and like telling me I can do anything, and just like really just my biggest cheerleader is probably the best way to describe it. And I don't have any siblings, so it's really just, me and her. And I was like the spelling bee champion in third grade, and just always was just super like about achievement, accomplishment. And so fast forward through go to high school, and I get, my dad's really tall, and my whole family's really tall, so I'm 6'5", and I end up falling in love with basketball, and I just train nonstop. That's my whole goal in high school. Just let me play D1. And my mom told me, she's like, you're not going to go to, like, you have to go to college, but you're not going to go to college unless you get a scholarship. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to just put all my eggs in basketball and see what I can do there. And so I go through high school. I end up not getting any Division I scholarships, no offers there. I got some like small schools interested, but didn't really get like my main goal. And so I end up applying to Pepperdine. Pepperdine's the only school I ended up applying to. I grew up in Southern California, and Pepperdine's like 30 minutes away from me. And so I was like, I was perfect. I had a girlfriend at the time. So I'm like, I can see my mom, I can see my girlfriend. And this school actually have a chance to walk on. I end up talking to the coaches. I end up getting to play with them over summer, and it's all looking great. I'm training like the hardest I've ever trained. Everything's going well. And then during a pickup game over that summer into my freshman year of college, I ended up getting a grade 3 sprain. The ball went up, and I caught this really awesome putback dunk on this older dude in the gym. And the very next play down, like the similar thing happened. A long shot hit up. I knew it was gonna be a long rebound. I went up, and the guy was not going to get dunked on again. So he pushed me. I landed weird on my ankle, ended up getting a grade 3 sprain. And I was like, and this was more towards the beginning of summer. So I kind of had time to just heal up, just basically right by the time the school would actually start and the walk-on process began. And so I just had to take time off, which was just an interesting thing, not being able to train, from like training 4 to 6 hours every day to live this dream, and now just have to like do nothing for a few months. And so fast forward, I get to school. I get to do a couple practices with the team. One was super cool. I got to play with Klay Thompson from the Warriors, which was like a really cool thing because his brother went to Pepperdine. So we got to play with him for a scrimmage or whatnot. And so then the very like first like actual practice back from being injured, and I'm still like not really in that great of shape. I'm just starting to kind of get back in training. I end up rolling the same ankle like 2 minutes into playing. And I was like, all right, this dream's over, or at least it's over for now or whatnot. But in that moment, I kind of had like this ego check where I realized the only reason I want to play Division I basketball, and it wasn't just college basketball, it was like Division I basketball, it had to be Division I, was just so I could say I play Division I basketball. And I'm like, if that's the only reason I'm doing this is just so I have some bragging rights, like that's just not really a good reason. And it really checked my ego at the door, and I kind of felt free. Like, and now I was like, hey, I can do really anything. Like before it was just all focused on basketball, and now I have freedom to do anything. And so that's when I joined a fraternity, which was something I never drank or done anything up until college. And it was like not something I was interested in, but I ended up meeting some really great guys, had a really great, like just freshman year, met my fiance, and all this random stuff happened that if I hadn't got injured, I wouldn't have, done there. And I mentioned how I had a girlfriend going into college. I ended up breaking up with her a couple weeks in. That's the classic story. And so it just was funny. The whole reasons I went to Pepperdine was for basketball, be close to my girlfriend. I ended up having, my mom and I had issues when I left to college because it's just like she was, empty nester and put a lot of pressure on me. So all these reasons I went to the school ended up being crushed within 2 weeks of going there. But as I'll continue with my story, but everything ended up working out for the best. And it's really, you have to see the opportunities, and some of the best gifts in the world are unanswered prayers. And often you think you know what you want, and you'll get shown what you really do need and what's going to happen. And so
Can I
fast forward. Yeah, first, of course.
Dude, because that's awesome. I love the message behind that story, because you're right. The universe will check you when you need to be checked, right? Have that ego check.
Totally.
I know I've had that a couple times, and I didn't take the smaller ego checks on me until it came crashing down, because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're not getting these hints. Here you go then, and then realized it. But I was a middle school, high school choir director. I saw kids. I had kids who had those dreams, specifically basketball or football dreams, and like I want to do D1 and have this. But even other subjects, right? They're like, I want to do this. They're omni-focused, which isn't a bad thing, but they were so in there for the bragging rights of it, for the just to say they've done it. And as adults, we fall into the same thing many times. Do you have a tip or strategy going through that can help people just check themselves before the universe checks them?
I think it's like you said, you do kind of have to somewhat listen to the smaller signs, because there are always there. And I'm a big believer that lessons in life will be repeated over and over again until you finally learn them. So, listening to the small things along the way is important. And I think it's hard to find that balance between like being just solely focused on one thing, because you do somewhat, if you want to be like the best in the world at something, you do have to kind of be obsessed with it. But I think at the end of the day, the main thing is just to have fun and enjoy the process, because it's like even Michael Jordan, who was like, the greatest basketball player of all time. I mean, he just loved playing. And when he wasn't playing, he was in golfing or doing something else competitive, and he just loved playing sports. And so I think the main thing is, if you are going to be omni-focused on one thing, make sure it's because you actually love it, and it's not because what the outcome is. I think that's the biggest thing. Detach your happiness from the outcome. Actually enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. And sometimes your journey is going to be, some people love doing millions of different things, and some people love doing, one thing, two thing. And so there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just, I think it comes down to your intentions, and make sure your intentions are pure and that you're doing it because of the actual love for it versus, the fame or accolades or what it might bring.
I love that. Detach your happiness from the outcome. The outcome doesn't need to determine if you're going to be happy or not. You should be happy along that journey, whatever that
Exactly.
is. So awesome. Okay, I'll let you jump back into your story. You're in college, all that stuff. We'll just jump back in.
So freshman year, so basically first semester, again, I get hurt. I end up joining fraternity, meeting some great friends. And the last day of first semester, one of the guys in my fraternity said, hey, like there's this party. He was a musician also. He's like, my producer is having this party at his beach house. And we invited a couple people. It was just like a small, like 6 people or whatnot. And so I find out this girl that I thought was pretty cute was going to be there, but her friend was actually interested in me at the time. And the girl that I thought was cute had a boyfriend she was talking to, or I shouldn't say boyfriend, a guy she was talking to, whatnot. And so this is literally the last day of first semester. Like I almost went home. Like my mom, she was going to pick me up from school and we're going to go, whatever, start Christmas break. And I was like, let me just stay this last day and then, see what happens. So I go to this party, and there's a random funny thing. I don't know if you know Jake Paul is the YouTuber, big influencer guy. He was friends with the producer. So just funny that the day I met my fiance I also met Jake Paul, which is just a random thing. Just anyway, just so dumb that it's just a cool story I can say. But anyway, so we're at this beach house, and it turns out it's not the producer's beach house, it's somebody else's beach house, and he's working on a project for this person that lives there. And so he's letting she's the homeowner's letting him live there momentarily while he finishes up this project. And so it's only like 5 or 6 of us just hanging outside. And then the actual house owner, or the person watching the house, is like, you guys can't be here, can't be having a party here, or something like that. And so we end up getting kicked out and have to leave. But while this is happening, the girl that I'm interested in is talking to the dude that she was talking to And basically I hear her and she basically ends it. And I'm just like, oh, this is my window. My window's here. And so we end up all just going back to the dorms because we got kicked out of this party. We just go back to the dorms, and we're just hanging out, talking. And I'm like, okay, I think this girl's actually feeling me. Like, I think she actually might like me. I know she's broke up with her boyfriend. She broke up with her boyfriend a few, 30 minutes after meeting me. I'm like, is there a correlation there? Like, what's going on? And so and so she's from, and I have a lot of tattoos and whatnot. And she had like one small tattoo. And so it was just like, that was like the cool thing. I was like the freshman, had tattoos, and I was like the cool guy because of that or whatnot. And so anyways, we're talking, and I end up slyly getting her number because she's from Portland. And so she has a succulent, this plant. And I'm like, she's trying to figure out if someone can watch it. And everyone else that is hanging out at the party is going back to Christmas break in another state. And I'm the only one that's like, living 30 minutes away. So I'm like, oh, I'll watch your succulent. I'll take care of it. And so, and I get her number, of course, that way. And then we start texting over winter break. And long story short, that's who my fiance is now, 6 years later. And we were supposed to get married last July, but we ended up canceling because of COVID. Now we're getting married this July. But I ended up actually killing her succulent, which wasn't the best first impression, but stuff happens, and she still liked me, so it's all good. And so long story, that was end of first semester, end of first semester. And now second semester we meet up, we start actually officially dating, and we texted that whole break, really kind of fell for each other, and then started dating within a couple of days of actually like talking to each other once school started again. And then Pepperdine has one of the biggest abroad programs in like the whole like country. It's really known, like everybody goes to Pepperdine basically for the international program. I went there initially to play basketball. And what happens is within like 2 weeks of going to the campus, you have to like decide, what program you're going to choose or whatnot. And again, I was trying to play basketball, it was not on my radar, anything I ever thought about doing. Always been a homebody. I chose a school that was 30 minutes away from where I grew up. And so ends up she went to Pepperdine like everybody else for their abroad program, and it's sophomore year is the year at Pepperdine that everybody goes abroad. And so basically we had been dating for whatever that semester, like 3-4 months, and I know she's going abroad sophomore year. And so fast forward now to sophomore year, we decided to stay together. Like, we care about each other enough. We think it's worth it. It's going to be hard because she's going to be gone for the full year and not going to come back for winter break. So it's going to be 7 months apart. And so I was just like, I got to focus on me again. I don't have basketball, which was my main thing that I was doing for years. I don't have now a girlfriend, and all the friends I made in my fraternity that first semester, they're all also abroad. And so I really had like one guy that was in my fraternity that was an actor. So he went to Pepperdine. He was from Texas. So he came to school in LA basically so that he could pursue acting. And so it was kind of just me and him that whole year. And I decided, focus on my, entrepreneurship or whatnot, find something to put my time into. And so that's when knowing that was going to be my sophomore year, basically that summer leading into sophomore year is when I started getting my real estate license, doing all the different tests and stuff you have to do for that. And so I end up, after I get my real estate license, basically literally on my 20th birthday, September. So it was like, 2 weeks into the school. And I send an email, I do some research, send emails out to like different realtors in the city. And I meet up with a couple of them. And this one guy, Shen, really clicks with me because he's a musician, he's a father. His two sons, actually, random story, but his two sons are actors, and they were the twins that were in the first season of American Horror Story that were like the really creepy twins, if you ever saw that season. But anyway, so just like, he's a really cool guy, and he's the top realtor for Sotheby's Malibu. And I start working alongside him, doing open houses, just kind of being his assistant, but I'm also like a licensed realtor, so I just do kind of dual folded things for him. And he's just one of the wisest, like I call him the Jedi Master, because he's just a guru. He's just a genius. And so some of my favorite memories from that year were just driving along with him to do showings, and him just dropping so much wisdom and cool stories and whatnot. And so along that, he kind of just told me somewhat, I mean, he didn't tell me I didn't don't pursue this career, but he just kind of shared enough stories, and I got my own taste for it to realize that doing real estate wasn't really what I want to do. My mom did real estate. That was one of the reasons I thought of pursuing it. And I never wanted to have a 9-to-5. And so real estate seemed like a good way to avoid that to some extent. And I loved architecture and whatnot. So that sophomore year, I ended up doing the real estate that first semester. And now that semester, Christmas break semester, I'm sitting on my phone and just realizing how many times can I play Jetpack Joyride. Like, how many times can I play Temple Run? I'm I'm over it. And I'm on Instagram and I see like these people making money selling ads and stuff. I'm like, if I just spend all the time I spend on my phone doing pointless stuff, just like growing an Instagram account, I could, probably monetize it or, make money that way or whatnot. And so I end up growing an account pretty quickly, and it hit like 100,000 followers in 9 months. And then that's when the guy I was working with in real estate said, hey, why don't you do my social media? So I was like, yeah, sure. So I started doing his social media. And then he was in this big group of the top 50 agents around the country for Sotheby's. So there's ones like the Hamptons and Palm Beach or the Dallas, all these basically luxury markets. And so he sent out an email one day just to all of them and said, hey, this is Rhett. He's awesome. He does social media. If you need help with it, like hit him up. And so a handful of them actually hit me up, like 5 or 6 of them hit me up. And and at that point, I'm just like, I'm really more money motivated. It's not about, helping people. It's not about service. It's just about like, let me see what I can do to sell these people or whatnot. And that's not the right way to go about it at all. But, everybody learns. And so I end up doing that and getting some clients and whatnot. And then fast forward through that year, then my fiance comes back and we end up moving in together in our junior year, which was really just kind of, everyone thought we were crazy because it's like, we literally knew each other for 3 months and then she went abroad for a year and then she comes back and now we're living together. So just like a weird situation. But again, we just kind of knew that we were like meant for each other to some extent. So we ended up doing social media stuff, and that's then my junior year. We're living off campus, and I finally have my own space because I lived in a small apartment with my mom. I didn't have my own room. I didn't really have space to make music or create or anything like that. And like I said, I was focused on basketball, so that wasn't really on my radar. And then now that I see like kind of my whole goal is to avoid 9 to 5. Social media is starting to pay off. My business is starting to grow. And I know like if I put more time into this, it's just going to get better and better. And by the time I graduate, I got 2 years to just really make this business so I can do this full time and not have to, get a regular job. And so that ends up paying off, and I just keep working on music. And now today, that's really where I am. I do social media, work with a bunch of small and mid-sized businesses doing content creation, video editing, marketing campaigns, and all that fun stuff. And the rest of the time, I'm really making music, spending time with my fiance, and yeah, that's pretty much my life story, somewhat summed up. It was kind of pretty long, but pretty summed up to some extent.
It's been an amazing life already, so it's hard to sum it up in a shorter way, right?
Yeah.
Things make another thing happen, right? They're the catalyst to it.
Exactly.
Which is so cool.
Exactly.
And I love that you followed your passions. It's my dog's bark in the background there, but
sure, mine will soon.
They're not too bad.
Hey, I'm really sorry to butt in like this, but I know you're gonna love this, and I'm too excited to not share it with you right now. And that is Spencer's Energy Hub. Yeah, that's right, Spencer's Energy Hub. It is a community. It's the Jonesin 4 community. You're listening to the Jonesin 4 show or watching it, right? And now there's a community designed for you to have success. We want you to live your life to the max, and we can help you. We can help you do that through the tips, techniques, and strategies we share in this show, but also within this Energy Hub. So what is it? Well, it is a membership crew that's a family, right? We are a community who are there to support you, be in your corner when times get tough and when times are awesome. But there's more. You get weekly trainings. You get help, strategies, and ways to help you actually implement what you learn to have success so you can live your life to the max. Oh, and there's monthly interviews with experts and masters in their field sharing their knowledge with all of you so you can really take it, implement it, and have success in your life and go up that mountain faster and better than you could have before. You're here now, which is awesome. Now, take it to the next level and join us at Spencer's Energy Hub. Go there and find out what it all entails and all that, and sign up to join. Just go to spencersenergyhub.com or spencermjones.com. You can find it there and click on it and make sure you check it out and join us in the hub. Can't wait to see you inside.
I'm thinking about this whole thing, like you're going after the money first, which, is not the best way to do it. You said that yourself, but now, like, I've discovered you and found you through your channel, the Five Core Life. So
Mhm.
I mean, and that's, I mean, you're giving back, you're talking about mindset, positivity, all the things
Mhm.
that I chat about, and that's why we started driving. When did that shift started happening for you between, okay, I'm going after money, which, I mean, let's
Mhm.
be honest, we all have at some point in our
Mhm.
lives, we all have been driven by money, and there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that as long as you have the greater good in mind from it, right?
Mhm.
I mean, because we need money to live. Money is an energy and it's an exchange policy. We need it to live our lives and pay the most. But what what switched for you between going for money and now
Mhm.
giving back of this five core life and spreading positivity?
So when I first started the account, it was called You Can Have Success because that's all I wanted was success. So it was like just so I basically became a student of success, studying everybody from entrepreneurs to musicians from the 1800s to now and before then or whatnot. Just trying to understand. So I've been always good at like reverse engineering things, and I just realized like they just had a vision for something and they just stuck to it and didn't give up or whatnot. And so I just kept studying people, finding quotes and whatnot, but it was all, like I said, more money driven. That was more the goal of success and it kind of evolved from being money driven to then more like accomplishment driven. But again, all these things just are ego driven. It's all kind of the same, wanting the outside world to think you're cool or the best or whatnot. And as you've learned, it's an inside job. Life is really an inside job. And so through kind of the process of just studying people and also becoming kind of more successful in my business and realizing like I didn't really care about things, and like I just slowly over time, as I think the both, like as making more money and also studying more people, I realized like I didn't wasn't being fulfilled by money. That stopped becoming really a goal. And even with the clients, the relationships, now when I was starting to approach new clients, I didn't care about selling them. All I want to do is help them. Like, how can I be of service to them? And also, it was a selfish thing in the sense of like, there's a lot more pressure when you're just trying to make money or it's all about you, versus when it's about them. I'm no longer caring about being the most well spoken or the most knowledgeable or whatever. I'm just trying to be as helpful as I can be in that moment. And so I'm going to do my best to answer their questions or help them out. And so slowly over time, again, and then also I was working on, I now had time to do music. And as you know, just doing stuff creatively, that started being way more fulfilling. Just the act, regardless if people hear my songs ever in my lifetime, just the act of just creating and doing was so much more fulfilling than making money or whatnot or having nicer things. Or I became less and less materialistic and less ego driven and more just about doing, creating, and trying to be my best self and help other people in the process. And so then that was so You Can Have Success continue to grow and grow. And then it ended up in October 2019, I met Will, who's now my partner, and we ended up rebranding it Five Core Life because that was kind of his whole mission. Basically, short story of him is he started one of the first food delivery companies and ended up selling it for like 328 million. And he was one of the main founding partners. So I don't know how much he made, but he made enough. He way exceeded his goals financially. And he even was the same thing. He's like, I kind of knew that when I made all this, like if I made a whole bunch of money, it still wouldn't change anything. But you still are curious and want to see. And he's like, yep, it wasn't really any different. Like I don't want to just sip. I could just be sipping, pina coladas on the beach every day, but it's like, that's not really fulfilling. And so that's when he ended up really he's been working on this book and wanting just to really give back and share with everything that he's learned and whatnot. And so he ended up meeting me, and that was a whole nother long story in itself, that he ended up meeting me through some guy that ended up being a whole scamster and all this stuff. But all these kind of bad guys were involved, but we were kind of able to see through it and realize that both of us had like pure intentions and were good hearted and really wanted the best for the world and best for each other. And so we ended up working together, ended up selling him part of the account, and we started working together on that. And again, rebranded to Five Core Life. And it became way more about happiness, giving back, purpose, and a lot less about just like success and accomplishment. And those are all good things, but again, it's like that's not the only thing. And that's why it became Five Core Life, because it was about living a balanced life versus just one thing being the end all be all.
I love it. The fact that you two found each other, that you both were going for money, the things that people that society says that you need
Mm-hmm.
more money, you need this to
Yeah.
be happy, and they're saying, well, happiness is in the outcome. To bring it back to what we mentioned
Mm-hmm.
earlier, and you realized, and Will, your partner, and how many other people realized that happiness isn't in having enough money. Now,
Mhm.
I'll tell you, and you probably experienced this, or
Mhm.
maybe you have, I know I have, that, we don't always have money and it's not always there, but, and we think, okay, they're just saying that. Like, that's just
Yeah.
baloney. Like,
Mhm.
whatever. It's not real. Like, no, money can definitely, it can help buy things, which can make me
Mhm.
happy and do all that.
Mhm.
But it's not fulfilling. And I mean,
Mhm.
I'm not successful in a huge, millionaire type way or
Mhm.
anything, but I could tell you that I'm happy because of what I'm able to do internally,
Mm.
not
Yeah.
because of what money can buy me. I can make my life nicer and
Mhm.
easier in ways, but it doesn't fill my soul. How have you discovered that, or will, with money? I mean, you can have it, you can buy things, but is it true? Is it really true that money can't buy happiness for you?
For me, like, it's just, again, I think it's so the journey, and so many people compare and see somebody's end result. And I mean, I was just watching this video of Travis Barker, who, if you know, he's the drummer from Blink 182 and all this different stuff. And he's, a multi-millionaire. And he said outside of, having his kids now, the days when he was just living in a studio apartment on the beach, just playing shows in random bars with, his best buddies, was some of the highlights of his life. And it's like, it's really true. I mean, just I'm it's really the journey, and you can't really see that until you look back. And so that's why I think living with as much gratitude as possible. And I always, like, my two kind of key words and just like mindset switches or whatnot are just gratitude and perspective. Like, there's always something that's out there that's worse. And like I was mentioning to you before we are talking, that I feel like there's such a perfect duality to life, and you can always see the negative side of things, or you can see the positive side of things. But sometimes you don't notice the positive or realize what the positive is until 3 months, 3 years, 20 decades, I guess 200 years down the road, to realize, why that thing had to happen that way, or what it was that you could learn from it. And so it's like, you can always buy more things, but you can also always create more things. And it's like, it's just, to me, it's more about sustainability. And sure, if you're a billionaire, you can keep buying things and buying things, but it's like, that's just, it's not going to be the same feeling. And anybody that's given back, anybody that's done stuff that's creative or had that sense of fulfillment and random, even from just having a great workout or helping somebody hold the door open for them, like, you just get this sense, this feeling. And at the end of the day, everything is emotions, everything's feelings. We use logic to justify emotions, and we use these limited words and vocabulary that we have to try to explain our feelings and express ourselves. But it's all just feelings. And anybody that, again, has given back or felt that sense of fulfillment knows how much better it is than buying something, because the second you buy something, you just want to buy something else. And the second you help somebody, you actually feel pretty good. And you might want to help somebody else, but it's just a different feeling, and it just feels so much better. And I think it is hard when it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's like, you're just trying to survive, and you're trying to, and it's like, until you get to the top, can you actually self-actualize and realize, that it's not just about the money. So it is really hard when somebody is struggling financially, or on top of that, they're not only struggling financially, they're just barely making ends meet by working a job that they also hate. So they have way more added stress, and then they have way less time in their day because their job's taking up all that. And so I get how hard and difficult it can be for people to comprehend that money isn't going to solve all their problems. But I mean, you can just look at every celebrity and everybody who has all these like drug addictions and all these different things and up in rehab 100 times, because they have all this time and all this money, and they just start living so selfishly, and that ends up just going down a poor spiral, and they end up either dying or just doesn't end up really well. And so and that's kind of part, even for me, my realization too, is, again, like I said, I love studying and hearing the stories of successful people. And it's great when you hear those stories of people that messed up their life and went down that wrong route, and then now you can learn from it. And so it's like, yeah, you can hear 100 stories, and you can do your best to try to implement it into your life. And I've done that myself. But again, I understand how hard it is when you're not at that point where your finances aren't in order, and you're working a really dead-end job and all that stuff, and it's really difficult. But know that the money isn't going to make you happy. And there's people, I mean, I saw this video the other day of some like guy who's working at like I think some fast food restaurant, and he was just super super happy. I mean, my best buddy, my best friend, grew up in a motorhome, still lives at home in a motorhome, works as a baker, and he loves it. He wakes up at 4 a.m. every day, he bakes bread every day, and then the rest of the day he makes music, hangs out with his girlfriend. And so there's tons of people out there that are super, super happy, that are not making much money, but they just are appreciative of their life and they're not looking at what they don't have. And I think that's the main thing. I mean, I think it was Theodore Roosevelt that said, comparison is a thief of joy. And it's completely true, because it's like the hard thing, there's a lot more anxiety, a lot more depression, a lot more unhappiness now because of the fact that there's social media and it's so easy to see peek and not even see somebody's life, but just peek into somebody's life, or just the perception of what they want you to see about their life. And it's like, it just, you can go down the spiral of constantly comparing your life to others, or wishing you had done things differently or whatnot. But all you really have right now is this moment. So you can make the most of it and live in gratitude or not. And the thing that I've noticed about people that are generally happier or more successful, however you want to describe it, is it's not that they're perfectly happy 24/7, is that they're able to get back to center quicker. When something comes their way, they're able to see, what they can learn from it and keep going, versus the person that gets knocked down and decides the whole world and universe hates them and nothing's ever going to go their way. And so we can all, it really is a mindset thing. And that's why doing things like working out, meditating, making time for yourself, reading more, having certain disciplines definitely help you, because a big part of having I think a good mindset comes from confidence. And confidence, a big part of confidence is making commitments to yourself and following through on them. Because when you do that, it's like, think about like this. I had a friend that a lot of times would be late to places, and it'd be so annoying because he would show up hours late and sometimes be like, oh, I'm going to come over like in 5 minutes. And then I'd get a text from like 3 days later, like, hey, what's up? I'm like, you never even showed up. And so you stop believing in them. The same with yourself. If you set goals for yourself or say you're going to do stuff, and you don't follow through, you're going to stop believing in yourself. And then you're going to start looking to outside ways and think, oh, well, if I had more money, I'd be happier. This is like, no, just like start making small commitments to yourself, follow through on them. You'll not only gain confidence by following through your commitments, but also whatever it is, you're going to get better at that. So like for music, you start practicing more, you get more confidence because you're doing it. So you get better. The more you do it, the better you get, the more confidence you have. So there's lots of little things you can do on a daily basis to help yourself out. The worst thing you can do is compare yourself and think, oh, if I had that guy's life or I was doing that, then I'd be happy. It's like, there's no if and then I'll be happy. It's like, now you can be happy. And sure, again, there's emotions. Nobody's ever perfectly happy, and understand that. And I think it's a big key that people need to learn to heal from their things. And, some people need to talk to professionals or get help however they can. And don't be afraid to ask for help. But again, yeah, there's no perfect life. There's only your life. You got to make the most of it and enjoy your unique journey.
Dude, there's so much amazing, awesome things right there. Holy cow. And I'm full agreement that you need to have the confidence, right, about yourself. And that comes from the small things you could do every day. Make commitments to yourself and stick with them, and make them, small and achievable ones. So you can start off small. You don't need any money. You don't need any special requirements or anything. You could just say, I'm going to wake up at this time and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go walk, or I'm going to work out every day. And that workout could just be one push-up. You do it every day. You're building up that confidence for yourself. And then, as you said, don't compare yourself to someone else. And with social media is great because we can connect with people all across the world. But it can also be the thief of joy, because, as you said, you get a glimpse into people's lives, that instant life, and Instagram of, look how beautiful my life is. And we all do it to points because we want to show, all our highlights, right? Our highlight reel. And people say, oh, that's their life. Well, no, it's not always, right? I mean, might be highlights of it, but that's it. But you don't need to compare it. You have so many amazing things to be grateful for in your life. You just need to be looking for it, be aware of it, and celebrate them. And then I love the idea of what you mentioned about your friend who's a baker, loves what he does. It's about doing what you love, right? And who cares about the money aspect of it? If you have enough to live and get by, awesome, right?
Exactly.
Then you keep chasing and doing these things. And by just giving back, that fills you with joy. That fills you with happiness, like opening the door for someone, smiling at someone. It fills you with joy. It gives them joy and happiness. And you could do it financially. You could do it with your time, with effort. There's so many ways to give back. You look at the successful people who are successful, however you define that, and who are happy, who are genuinely happy. Well, they give back, right? They give time. If they're able to, they give money, but they give back. They're kind. They're generous. And I'll tie it back to what you mentioned earlier of being authentic, right? When you chat with someone, when you're looking for clients, or now when you're chatting with potential clients, you're saying, I'm just going to see, how can I help you? I'm not looking for that sale. I'm not trying to sell you on this. I just want to see how I can help you. Because guess what? Once you find those people that jive with you, that you can help and support, they're going to want to return the favor to you. Most people do, at least. And the more you do it, well, things are going to start flowing your way. You're giving energy and positive to the world. It's going to flow your way in the terms of energy, of happiness, joy, but also money and things like that. So if you start going and you trust it, it will happen.
Yeah, trust is a huge part of it.
Dude, this has been absolutely awesome. So many cool things to unpack and chat about here, with positivity, with mindset, happiness, and not holding it to the outcome. Oh my God. And then we could even talk about fitness and all these different journeys. But I want to be respectful of your time and our listeners' time. So I think we'll end it here, but we'll have to have you back on, man, because this has been phenomenal. Thank you so much for joining me.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks so much for inviting me, Spencer. Great talk. I know you didn't talk much, but I guess that's still the point, I guess, of a podcast to some extent. That's fun once in a while to just share my story. So I appreciate you listening, and anybody that's, listening to this later, really appreciate it.
Well, of course, that's what this is about. They hear enough of me, right? I do solo shows. They're with my voice. It's all about you and what you can share. How can people find out more about you or link up with 5 Core Life, and how can they surround themselves with your awesome energy and positivity?
So yeah, my personal is just my name, my Instagram, Rhett King, RHETTKING. I don't post much personal stuff because I do literally social media for a living, but that's kind of been my weakness. And now my goal right now is start a YouTube channel and just start putting out music content. And basically the YouTube channel I'm going to be starting is all about how to live a more creative and fulfilling life. So that's what my goal is my whole goal is to live a more creative and fulfilling life. So I'm going to try to help share the tips that I've learned along the way as well. So just my Instagram is the best way to find me, because I don't have anything else really out at this point. So if you want to check that out, go ahead.
Will do. And folks, we will put the link to his Instagram if you want in the show notes. So just head there. It's at spencermjones.com. Go to the Jonesin 4 show, click on this episode, and you will find it. Get his links, follow him, check out his music, his tips, all that awesome stuff, as it's going to make your life better. So Rhett, this has been awesome. Thank you so much again. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you so much. Talk to you
Everyone else, thank you so much for being here. You rock. If you like it, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, we will catch you all later.